Okay, so I'll try to record a quick video as I'm racing back to work. I'm so happy that my boss is so understanding because I typically go to my light therapy treatments during my lunch break, and it's supposed to be like an hour. It ends up being maybe like an hour and a half, and I do usually make up that time after work, but today I actually have another doctor's appointment. This doctor's appointment is for my 6-month checkup. I hadn't really been going to the doctors. I didn't really have any issues where I needed to go to the doctors. Of course, I was doing my yearly with the OBGYN, and you know, when I was pregnant, I was seeing the doctor, but I tend to range towards like a holistic health approach, unless there's something that I just don't have control over, which would be like the same in this case. So I did blood work at my previous appointment, and my doctor mentioned that everything looked good. She just told me to watch my carbs and also my sugar, which I was kind of surprised at because I was working with my dietitian and I had actually been pretty careful with that, or so I thought. So I guess your blood work, it typically shows your health during like a 6-month span. And I talked to my dietitian about some of my eating habits, and she mentioned doing things like sometimes on my way home from work, I would grab like French fries as like a snack, and that would be like my dinner. I don't know, like sometimes I would get like some kind of like little ice cream, something sweet, which she said could potentially explain the carbs and sugar issue. And then also doing things like getting like lattes and like, you know, like the specialty drinks with like all the added syrups and things like that. And at that time, I was on like a vegetarian diet. So the way it was explained to me is that your body kind of has to like balance things out, and certain things can spike up like your blood sugar levels. She was saying that as long as I have like balance, not so much just cutting these foods out, but it's, you know, as long as I have balance, that should help to moderate some of these like issues with like the carbs and sugars and things like that. I get really nervous about the doctor. It took me a while to schedule my 6-month checkup, which I mentioned that in another video about like some of my issues with that. And yeah, so it took a lot, but I finally did schedule it. I find that I am probably not so nervous now. I don't know if she's gonna ask me to get blood work done again, but that usually sends me into like a fit of anxiousness of, okay, well, what if it's this? What if it's that? And like, you know, I've had this cough. What if that's, you know, something? But I try to keep myself like calm about these things, because when I was doing therapy, my therapist mentioned trying to turn your mindset around, and instead of thinking something like, what if it's bad? Instead, changing it around to think, well, it could be bad or it could be good, but I just don't know. And just to kind of stay in like that middle road until you find the answer to something, because you're working yourself up and you're sending your body into a tizzy over something that you don't know the outcome of. So the hardest part essentially is waiting and finding out what the answer is going to be. But at the end of the day, the answer is still going to be whatever the answer was. So you getting yourself worked up over something, it's not going to make things any better. So that's kind of the philosophy that I've been trying to stick to. I've also been trying this tincture. It's by Apothecary Co. So it's like an herbal tincture, and it's supposed to help with as a natural form of stress relief. And I've been kind of doing that. I've been trying to do that daily, just because, you know, with things like that, it takes a little while to sort of like build up in your system. You notice differences gradually over time. So that's what I've been using. That along with, I've been trying, so it's a natural form of energy. It's called Rise. So I do the matcha one because typically I've been a little bit more caffeine sensitive. So I prefer like green tea, things like that. I can drink coffee, but once again, I need to balance it out with something, and I will drink coffee if I'm like really tired. So yeah, so I'm getting myself mentally prepared for my doctor's appointment later. And my light therapy treatments for my skin, I feel have actually been going really well. So I go twice a week. So what happens is you get undressed, you put your goggles on, and you get into this light box. Once you're in the light box, the doctor will come in and they like put your dosage into the machine, and they flip the switch, and then the machine comes on, and it's been a steadily increasing dosage. And right now she said my dosage is pretty high, so we're gonna have like keep it at that dosage. And I actually going to schedule a follow-up. I'm going to schedule a follow-up appointment with her to see how things have been going. So that's going to be like a 3-month appointment. So far, I've done maybe like 2 months of this light therapy treatment, and I really do feel like it's been working. My skin would be itchy. I would have like the same weird breakouts all over my body, and now there's definitely less of that, and also all of the hyperpigmentation that's been occurring, which the doctor calls it post-inflammatory hyperpigmentation, and she said that eventually it's supposed to fade. So right now it does seem like it is fading. I don't know if it's because of the light therapy treatment, and my skin has essentially, I'm just very, very tan. I'm getting very tan, and maybe like the scars are kind of like fading into, you know, the tanness of my skin. But it does seem like it is fading, especially some of my lighter skin issues. So I try to look at the bright side of things, and that's definitely been a much brighter area of my life, because let me tell you, I have been on this mentally, physically, just trying to cope with the changes in my body. It's kind of like I went through this huge process of being pregnant, and you know, my body, I just watched my body change over the course of 10 months, and the physical challenges that I had from being pregnant. And then after that, you know, your body's like, after you give birth, your body's healing, and you're dealing with even more changes as your body starts to not exactly get back to what it was before, but some type of alteration of what it was before. Things will never quite be the same, obviously. So then I had to, you know, mentally and physically adjust to this new body. And then as those changes are still taking place, up pops, you know, this crazy skin issue where my entire body is just, you know, covered in these dark marks, and it's like as if, you know, having a baby isn't enough. It's like, oh, okay, you know, new insecurity unlocked. Anyway, so everything's just constantly been changing, and at the same time, you know, I can't just focus on myself, because I have this new addition to my life, which is my daughter, and she has essentially taken up the bulk of my time that used to be my own personal time. So that's something that I've been trying to wrap my head around. I've been trying to do, you know, little things to keep myself, or like to keep myself afloat. So essentially I feel like I'm trying to live my life instead of my life just happening to me. I want to feel like I have a little bit more control, and even the things that I don't have control over, I still just feel like these things are not defining my life as a whole, even though, you know, when you're in the moment, it really does feel that way. So anyway, that's my little spiel for now. And yeah, it sounds so cliche, but really I'm just trying to take things one day at a time.